Okay, it's not often that I do women's sports on the channel, but women's rugby league is the topic of this video, and it's the test match between England and Australia that's been organised for next year in Vegas as part of the NRL double header weekend to start next season. And it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because obviously in the Women's Super League they play the standard 80 minutes, 40-minute halves, 80-minute games. NRLW, their halves are 35-minute halves, and so therefore it's a 70-minute game. So there's some variations to the women's rules that already have variations in them. It'll be very interesting to see which rule set is used for this test match next spring in Vegas. But the growth we've seen in the women's game, especially in Australia and New Zealand, but also over here in the Northern Hemisphere as well, has been fantastic. We now have full-time players on full-time contracts in both the NRLW and the Women's Super League, so that's only going to continue to grow as well. The goal is to have the game professional and full-time in its entirety sooner rather than later, and with the NRLW expanding next season as well, with a longer season and more teams entering the league, two more teams are joining. It just shows the growth that has been in the women's game. I mean, women's state of origin has broken attendance records and viewership records season upon season. The attendances continue to climb. Records continue to tumble in regards to TV viewership, online viewership, and fans in attendance. And the quality has massively improved. The fitness levels and the quality and the skill has massively improved since 2018. For me, I think this is the biggest test match England faced in a very, very long time, and potentially ever. This test match is the watershed moment, I believe, in the women's game. They're going to have their own standalone World Cup coming up as well. That is separate from the men's in the future. Obviously, the last World Cup, they did it in parallel. I think that took away a little bit from the attention that the women's game could have got. I think it was overshadowed a little bit by the men's. The final was brilliant, by the way, between New Zealand and Australia. It was a brilliant final in testing conditions, but this is going to pit the best European-based players with some NRLW players against the best of the NRLW, and I'm actually quite looking forward to it. I've really enjoyed the NRLW over the last couple of seasons. The quality level, as I say, is massively improved. The fitness, the skill level, the intensity, and the depth is there. People were concerned that by expanding it as quickly as they have, that would weaken the product. I don't think it has. I think it's actually encouraged more women to start playing the game. It rewards, female rugby league fans who otherwise would only have the men's team to cheer for, and actually gives them something to cheer for. And it's shaping up to be quite the test match. And we've got 8 months to go until they play in Vegas, but of course, we've got the end of season test matches as well. That will be organised again. I believe the NRL is going to consider organising a similar Pacific Challenge style round robin format tournament like they did at the end of last year for both the men and the women. And that was fantastic last year. Some great games, some really, really good contests that were played, and some highly entertaining matches that were played. So I have high hopes for this being a watershed moment for the women's game, and also exposing women's rugby league to a new audience in North America. And rugby union is quite popular with women in the US and Canada. Obviously, I believe the NRL as the superior league is the avenue to grow the game internationally, and this is a good way to grow the game internationally. Is get an international played on the same day as the Vegas doubleheader next March. So really looking forward to it. Obviously, there's a lot of time between now and then, but the next 7-8 months are going to fly by. They will fly by the next few months, and then we'll be discussing the build-up to the Vegas games. But it shows how the NRL has decided to grow the Vegas weekend in the second year. So we'll see how much promotion this test match gets, and how much preparation time both squads get, because that will be pretty much their off-season. It's going to be interesting to see how match-ready both sets of players are. How much preparation time they'll have in training camp, and also be interesting to see the quality of the game. But Allegiant Stadium last year, the playing surface played really well. The atmosphere was really, really good, and of course it takes out the heat and the other weather conditions that you can get in the desert, so strong winds and heat. in a climate-controlled stadium. So there'll be no rain, there'll be no heat, there'll be no humidity. It will be a perfect playing surface, hopefully. And hopefully it gets a lot of promotion, and it's a good way to grow the women's game further. But yeah, we have that to look forward to. I'll also be discussing in the next video, Wigan and Warrington will also be playing on the same weekend as the Vegas doubleheader for the NRL. There's been a few eyebrows raised about that announcement in the last day or so, and of course there's been a lot of speculation surrounding the NRL potentially investing in Super League. Could this be the route into the investment side of things by getting two of the biggest Super League clubs to also showcase Super League alongside the NRL in Vegas to the US audience? So that will be interesting. We'll be discussing that in the next video. But for me, for now, thank you very much for watching. What do you make of the England women and the Australian Gillaroos playing a test match in Vegas next March? Is this good for the women's game? Is this the right move for the women's game? And is this the right time to have such a test match at that time of the year when the season hasn't really got up and running, and will the players be fully match ready? Will they have a lengthy preparation for it? And bearing in mind, a lot of these players are still technically part-time. They do have full-time jobs. They do have families. How much support would be given to them off the field as well in the preparation side of things? There's a lot of things to consider, but the NRL is the driving force behind this, and we'll see if it pays off. But for me, for now, thank you very much for watching. Really looking forward to this next spring. It's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. I get your thoughts in the comments section. But for me, for now, that's all I have. We'll have some more content for you very, very soon. We'll be discussing Wigan and Warrington be playing a game obviously over in Vegas next year as well, and then we'll discuss the Vegas doubleheader in more depth. But for me, for now, thank you very much for watching. Have some more content for you guys very, very soon.